This is lesson 9.1, the Pythagorean theorem. Our objective today, I can apply and understand the use of the Pythagorean theorem. In a right triangle, the side opposite of the right angle is called the hypotenuse. So if this is the right angle, then opposite of it on this opposite side over here is the hypotenuse. It is the longest side of the triangle. The other two sides, which we have labeled as A and B, are called legs. We are going to learn a theorem today that describes a relationship in a right triangle between the three sides of that triangle. And that equation is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What's really nice about this equation is if we know two of the three sides, we can find that third side length, whether it's A that's missing, B, or C. Now in the Pythagorean theorem, A and B are both the legs of the triangle, so they can be interchanged with each other. The equation we just went over is called the Pythagorean theorem, which is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's very important that you remember this is in a right triangle. It says that the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs equals the square of the length of the hypotenuse. Alright, now let's put that formula we just got to work here. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And let's label our triangle that we have. If you notice, the 90 degree is here, which means across from it is C. And then I can label the legs as A and B. It does not matter which one is which. Then we plug in what we know and solve for what's left over. So A over here we see is 4. So that's 4 squared plus B, which is 8. 8 squared equals, we don't know C, so C squared. Now, order of operations, let's go ahead and simplify first. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 8 times 8 is 64, and that equals C squared. 64 plus 16 is 80, which equals C squared. Now to get C by itself, we square root both sides. And so C is about, square root of 80 is about like 8.9. So C is 8.9. Let's go ahead and give this next one a go. Find the 90, across from it is the hypotenuse, which is C. And then you label the other two legs A and B. And then we plug in what we know and solve for what's left over. So A is 7, so 7 squared plus B, which is 10 squared, equals C squared. 49 plus 100 equals C squared. So that would be 149 equals C squared. And then we square root both sides to get C by itself, which is about, the square root of 149 is about 12.2. So we get 12.2. Alright, next one, find the 90 degrees. Across from it is C. So then A and B. Alright, fill it in. 7 squared plus B, which is 2 squared, equals C squared. 49 plus 4 equals C squared. 49 plus 4 gives us 53. So 53 equals C squared. Square root both sides to get C by itself. C is about 7.28, so about 7.3 would work good here. Alright, 3 more and we're done. On those last 3, we were figuring out what the hypotenuse was, the longest side. And on these 3, we're going to be figuring out what one of the leg lengths are. Helps to write out our formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. and we plug in what we know. On this first one, you see the 90 is here, so across from it is C, and then the other two sides are A and B. So I don't know what A is. A squared plus B is 3.6 squared, which equals C squared, which is 7.4 squared. So then we want to simplify what these numbers are. So A squared plus 12.96, that's what it is if you multiply, equals 7.4 squared is 54.76. You can always do that in your calculator. And then we're going to balance and solve. So let's start by subtracting 12.96 from both sides. And then we have A squared equals, if I subtract, that would be 41.8. And then to get rid of the little 2, we square root both sides. And A equals, well, about, because that's not a perfect square, A is about 6.5. And again, it doesn't matter whether you wrote that as A or if you wrote that as B. They're the legs, so as long as you keep that straight, we should be good. Next one, find the 90. Across from it is C. Label the other two as A and B. Alright, A 6.5 squared plus B, I don't know, squared, equals C, which is 9.9 squared. And let's go ahead and write what these numbers are. If we multiplied, that would be 6.5 squared is 42.25 plus B squared equals 98.01. Draw your line, subtract 42.25 from both sides. 42.25, and then we're left with just B squared equals, if I subtract over here, 55.76. Square root both sides, and B is about, again, we're rounding so we can say about instead of equal to, 7.5. So we found the missing leg length. Last one, this is 90, which means this here is C. The other two sides are A and B. Plug in what we know. A is 3.9 squared plus B, I don't know, squared equals C, which is 11 squared. Go ahead and multiply what those numbers are. 3.9 squared is 15.21. So 15.21 plus B squared equals 121. Subtract 15.21 from both sides, and we're left with B squared equals 105.79. And then we square root to get rid of the squaring, and B is about 10.3. So now you've seen how to find the missing leg or the missing hypotenuse. And that concludes our lesson 9.1.